comprehensive performance then from Team India in the final of 3 ODIs. Yes, the bowlers did the job and got the 10 wickets they required, but the batting was the one that started things off. 410 was always going to be far too many runs for Bangladesh to negotiate. And, well, we did what we hoped they would do, is make a go for it early in the innings. If they lost wickets, so be it. They lasted 34 overs and finishing 227 runs short. There you go. 182 all out in 34 overs. Shakib Al Hasan, while he was there, they looked like they were at least making a go for making some sort of runs. Liton Das, 29 of 26. And he too got out trying to force the pace. 227 runs, the final victory margin. There was a stage before that last wicket partnership that yielded 33 when India were in a shot of their highest ever victory margin against Bermuda in the 2007 World Cup. That wasn't achieved, but nonetheless a comprehensive margin. Here on Cricbuzz Live to look back and of course look ahead at the Test series to come, I'm joined by Joy Bhattacharya and Dinesh Karthik. Joy, this was the approach we sort of asked from them, that if they were not to get it, we weren't wanting a 230 for 3.
No, exactly. I think that's all they needed to do. They tried their best to do it, and while Shakib was in for a while, Shakib, Mahmudullah, they looked as if they were making a fight of it. I think the big difference here was that the Indian bowlers also, once they had a target to bowl at and they had runs under their belt, I thought they bowled, it was a very disciplined bowling performance. They didn't allow them to get off the hook. And while they started off quick, Liton Das actually started off pretty quick. After that, once he fell, wickets started falling in a hurry. They also knew that, it was easy to penetrate the field. Once the first 10 overs were over, power play was over, it was really, India was in control throughout.
DK, how would you sum that up? Combination of scoreboard pressure and disciplined bowling?
Yes, I think overall, a terrific performance from the bowling unit of India. This is the kind of performance that we are used to from Team India, I think, when we play Bangladesh. So they will feel, in many ways, let's say, relieved after this performance. But they have an important Test series coming, and that's going to be very critical for them. But for the moment, the bowlers did a good job. If at all we needed a perfect game, I think this was about as close to perfect as it can get. Most of the bowlers delivering, and the ones even who ended up not getting a wicket, but still, in many ways, bowling good lengths and making sure the batsmen had some tough questions to answer.
But really, it was set up in the first innings itself. 409 put on by Team India. It could have been 460, 470, even 500, the way Ishan Kishan was going. Let's just remind you once again, in case you've just popped in for the first time today, another double century for Team India. The first time outside the Indian shores, and of course, the youngest and the quickest to get there. Ishan Kishan, 210 of 131 deliveries, striking at over 160 with 24 fours and 10 sixes. The number of boundaries hit in the Indian innings was absolutely staggering. And I think no matter what happens in the game, no matter what happens going forward, he's made a statement. And of course, that entire opening slot that we were talking about suddenly has a new character in it.
Absolutely. And I just want to go back to one thing. You think about it carefully. Ishan Kishan is really regarded as a prospect. What's the big thing that has happened with him recently? Last year, he got a huge contract because a lot of IPL teams believed he was a big prospect, and justifiably so. But when he played that year IPL, he had the burden of all that money on top of his head. Okay, he's come here. He's come here as a replacement. Didn't expect to be here, play. Okay, Rohit Sharma gets injured. He comes in. So instead of having a burden of everything, he came here totally free. I have a chance. I make runs. I'm very good. If I don't make runs, what can happen? Anyway, I wouldn't have got a chance. This is like fate has handed me an opportunity. And so he played with an open mind. He played freely, and that makes so much of a difference. And I go back again and look at our T20 team in the World Cup. The biggest problem was a lot of players who were trying to stay in. And we didn't have enough players who were trying to get in and eager to establish themselves. And I think that's exactly the mix that, DK was talking about when he's looking for. Young players wanting to come in, just add so much energy to the team. And now with this, I think it's very difficult for India now to step back and say that, no, that was great, but, we have our old established stars. They need young blood like this to sort of stir up the system.
Yeah, we'll just elaborate more on that. But to finish on this point, DK, it's not something you can create. The point Joy made about the burden, and it's not just Ishan Kishan. Many players have suffered it, particularly using the IPL as an example. It would be great in a utopian situation if more often we could have players playing with freedom in either franchise cricket or in international cricket.
Yes, I think every every tournament, everywhere you represent has its own dynamic. In IPL, obviously, it's money to performance sort of ratio that you're looking at. Obviously, when you play for Team India, everybody's getting paid the same. So the difference becomes how much you have played, what sort of baggage you have, vis-a-vis what you're trying to achieve when you're just fresh and new on the block. So it's very different to compare. I completely get where Joy is coming from, and obviously Ishan Kishan coming in today. If interestingly, if a Shubman Gill had been part of the squad, he would have probably opened, because he's been doing that for some time now and doing it with aplomb actually for some time now. So Ishan Kishan, in many ways, given an opportunity, takes it with both hands and really makes it count. Now this is what is going to put Shikhar Dhawan in a fix, because now when the next time they pick a team for South Africa, for Sri Lanka series, where does he stand? If they're going to play a full series, if we're going to play a full team for the series, it's going to be very important. It's going to be very interesting, rather, to see how they could leave out an Ishan Kishan, and the fact that a Shubman Gill has been doing so well. And if a Rohit is available, somebody has to miss out. It could well be him, and that could be rather sad. But it's been a glorious career, and some tough questions to answer for the new selectors. I think they'll have a lot on their plate as they walk into that first ever meeting when they'll be picking a team for the T20s and the ODIs. But certain tough decisions need to probably be taken. At the end of the day, we're all trying to represent for a country, and we have a goal in place. And if the changes need to be made, I do think that Rohit and Rahul Dravid will obviously be open to it and see what's required for the team.
I think if we have a look at those figures for Shikhar Dhawan, the strike rate in 2022, 74.21 is something that stands out. The Ishan Kishan knock probably just highlights this and increases the gap. But even without Ishan's knock, if you look at Shikhar Dhawan in isolation, it's still something that you'd want to look at under a microscope.
Yeah, so, and I can always understand that the reason not to tinker with it. I mean, after Sachin and Saurav and Sachin and Sehwag, you've not had such a prolific opening pair. This is one of the greatest opening one-day international pairs in history. I mean, you don't drop Desmond Haynes or Gordon Greenidge overnight. You think about it and you say these are really big players, and there's a big tournament coming up. And Shikhar Dhawan has traditionally been the star of ICC tournaments with things he loved playing on. So that's all I'm saying. All that is to one side, and so that is why it's a process that's long. It's not an easy decision for anybody to take, but I think somebody needs to now. I mean, a really strong nudge has been given to at least say we need to at least consider that this is not a locked spot definitely anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if you take that example forward, when the Greenidge-Haynes era finished and you had someone like a Chris Gayle almost emerging in all formats of the game, you could almost say there's a transition happening there. But it's also about the mindset. And I think we saw the mindset translating into runs and the strike rate for Ishan Kishan, but also what he said at the end of the innings was very significant. When I got out, 15 overs were left, could have scored 300 also. Not so much about a milestone, but it was just saying that I need to get as many runs as possible for the team. And if I can get it at the strike rate I'm scoring, why shouldn't I? And I think that's the mindset that needs to percolate through to the entire batting order, DK.
Absolutely. I think it's very nice that a player, you generally get very
politically
bland
correct
comments after innings like that, where you say, I'm happy with the 200, let's not get greedy. But it's nice to see somebody coming out and being honest with the fact that, what, I could have got a 300 if I had batted, but didn't happen. But so be it. Also shows his hunger. He's been walking that thin line where a few of the keepers, with yours truly being part of it, and hence, not getting that opportunity, because he's done well in the limited opportunities he's got. But now, in many ways, he's pushed that door open and said, hey, I'm ready right now. Are you guys going to look at me? So some very interesting times for Team India. Also, what I feel, players like Rahul Tripathi, Shabaz Ahmed and Rajat Patidar, I understand they're probably not a game. I think it's better off that they move them into the T20 setup and start giving them opportunities there, whereas they reduce the number of players being involved in the ODI setup. And I say that because with the number of players existing, there is already a lot. We still have Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, Surya Kumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, Sanju Samson. I don't think we need more players than they're trying to fight for one or two spots. Give these boys an opportunity in the T20 setup, see how they go in international cricket. And post 2023 World Cup, definitely a lot of these names will become household names for Team India. But right now, the one-day team, whenever they are picked, should be a strong team, should be a team looking at the future for the next 8 months and how they're going to give opportunities and also empower these guys to play the brand of cricket you expect them to play through a tournament, through an ICC tournament, and most importantly, in knockout matches. Give them the freedom and the confidence to be gained over a period of 8 to 10 matches so that they can use that as the platform for these big games, crunch games, and they can deliver those clutch performances that we require.
Yeah, and Ishan hasn't even pushed the door open or banged it open. He's just ripped it off its hinges. There is a gap there. And he knows he's inside, he stepped inside, and there's no way he's going out again. So now that you have that, DK makes an interesting point. Just because you had somebody in the squad and you can identify a set of players, there's no point saying, look, we've got an embarrassment of riches. Let everybody be there on the table.
I mean, this is, so astutely thought through. Exactly what you need to do. Limit your choices in the game so that you build the confidence of the players, because you want Rahul Dravid at the end of the year to have meetings with all the guys and says, you know what, you guys, the top 15, 16, 18 guys we're considering, we are not looking beyond this for now. We'll do it. T20 matches, we might play new players, but within the ODI system where we need, there are three of you. If you go and talk to Shikhar, you'll say, okay, Shikhar, there's you, Rohit, Ishan Kishan, this. These are the four. Two of these will be selected. You're not going to tell him, not going to think, he's not going to think, oh God, that guy's only going to get in, that guy could get in. Just limit it, allow them to focus and say, we will deliver with you. By the end of the year, you know what you're doing. Because the big problem used to be with old selection committees, especially regional selection committees, is you'd pick somebody from there, somebody from there, somebody from here.
My zone,
my this thing, I've got to give a vote here. And you have a whole mishmash of players depending on which zone needs to do which other zone a favor. And I think if they can limit it to this 20 odd that we're talking about, I think 18, 20 is about the maximum you want to go. And say the rest will give you chances in T20 matches, but not in this format. But I just have one question to ask, DK. How do you make guys strong mentally in knockout matches by playing bilaterals? I mean, that's the one challenge. I mean, you have only Asia Cup, which is really a tournament like that.
I don't think you can make anybody mentally strong. I think you have to pick players who have that as the game plan. Let's take an example, like a Surya Kumar Yadav, like an Ishan Kishan, who from the ball one are not averse to taking risks. It's not like you can walk up to Rohit Sharma and say, you know what, in the first 5 overs, I require you to score 45 runs. That's a conversation that cannot happen, because they have got success over a period of time doing something and they're going to stick to that. Whereas if you pick players like Prithvi Shaw, for example, he goes gung-ho from ball one. He's got cricketing shots. He can hit it all along the carpet, both sides of the wicket, and he can play fast bowling and spin well. So that's his game plan. So you pick players like that who know that as the game plan, and that is what they should stick to. And if in case pressure is getting to them and they say, and you feel that they're not playing at the strike rate you expect them to, then have the conversation. But there is no point in going to Virat Kohli and telling him how he should be batting. I think what you need to do is pick players, and that is going to be the key for this World Cup. Pick players in specialist spots with the game plan that you feel is required for you to win the World Cup. Keep it as simple as that, and back them to do that every time you play from here on up to October, and I'm very sure the results will follow.
Yeah, I mean, the template is set, and who fits that template? Sort of going back to England 2015, it's one thing for Owen Morgan to say, this is how we are going to play, but if he didn't have the resources to do that, he couldn't tell an existing player who played a different way saying, listen, we've changed our game plan, can you do this? No, he'd have to get a Jason Roy, an Alex Hales, a Joss Butler, who he knows can do that, and say, go ahead and do your thing.
No, absolutely. DK, you're not just giving the selection advice, you're giving relationship advice. People don't change. You're absolutely right. People don't change. You don't tell Rohit this is how you're going to bat. Or even Shikhar how you're going to bat. Or even Virat. But so you have to say that if I want that stopper at number 3, this is what Virat will do for me. So there are 2 points. Either I pick Virat or I don't pick Virat. But I pick him because this is what he's going to do. I can't pick Virat and say now bat at 140 from the start. And that's what he's saying. And it's very interesting because that means that you are picking for what they are doing and expecting them to play that. Not expecting them to play anything different. I think as a way of looking at the game, I think that's a fantastic way to look at it. Expecting nobody will change. I mean, the only changes you can expect from a player now at this stage is saying, try and get a bit fitter, or try and be a slightly better fielder, which happens with some of the players you can look at. But as their basic temperament to the game, this is it. I've taken you because you have this. I want you to do this. I don't expect you to do anything else. And I think that's interesting.
Temperament and template. But if we had to pick out a few names, DK, you've already mentioned a few there that you suggested that a Rajat Patidar and maybe a Rahul Tripathi be moved to the T20 format. But from everything that you've seen so far, who are the ones you'd tell yourself, other than your surefire Surya Kumar Yadavs who'll come back in, Hardik will come back in, Jadeja who'll come back in, who are the players you've seen here who you'd want to make part of the setup going forward? The fringe players, if I could use that phrase.
For me, 4 bowlers come to my mind straight away. For me, Mohammad Siraj, Umran Malik has looked really good, and Kuldeep Yadav is somebody that I will definitely keep apart from Jasprit Bumrah. These are 4 bowlers for me who are match winners, who are wicket takers, and who will fit a role. I can see a Jasprit Bumrah and a Siraj bowling with the new ball, and Umran Malik coming in at one change, and add a Washington Sundar and Jadeja there along with Kuldeep. I feel you have a well-rounded attack as we sit here today. Well, as performances come and go, we'll figure out even better. But for the moment, I do look like a big tick for Mohammad Siraj and Umran Malik to be part of that World Cup squad because they bring some X factor in. Today was a great example. The wicket didn't have much swing. It didn't seem much, but Siraj made sure it was hard to hit him and got you a wicket in the power play, which is something that I look for in a bowler. He's able to get good batsmen out, and that is something that I really recognize in that boy. And the fact that Umran Malik, every time given an opportunity, has bowled nothing less than 140, troubled good batters with the likes of Shakib and all of them. And tailenders, let's not even talk about it. They weren't even willing to come in line. So that is something really heartening to watch. So these 2 bowlers, I'll keep a very, very keen eye on, and in many ways earmark them for the near future.
Yeah, I think that's giving you already a really good attack. And we saw the last ball of the Bangladesh innings as well was an example of what Umran Malik is capable of. And he just showed it as a matter of executing how you get rid of a tailender. Off stump goes cartwheeling, not, as DK said, wanting to come in line at that pace.
Exactly. We're all batting adjacent, as they say, square leg batting.
Any more names you can add to what DK said?
No, look, I'll tell you. I think that one genuine quick in the middle, if you're saying the 2 middle, who are the 2 middle guys? It does look like Kuldeep Yadav or, Chahal. One of these 2 in the middle for me would be fantastic. I think up front, the only thing is that Shami, you've then saying, is completely part of your past. It's no longer, then you consider him only for white ball cricket. You don't take any new. I still feel he's one of India's most accomplished swing bowlers. And I don't think the 4-over format suits him, but I think the 10-over format, he's still a formidable bowler. But I think Team India selection committee is not looking at him as an option right now. If I had to add to that, I'd say the other bowler who bowls Jaffas, perhaps not as consistently as Siraj, is Prasidh Krishna. I think on his day, he can produce some. But the only problem with Prasidh is he's just got to be a little bit more consistent if he's going to play for Team India. I mean, he shows you something and you're really happy with it. Whereas when you're giving Siraj a chance, he's repeatedly getting you wickets. And I think that's where Siraj is slightly ahead at this point.
Yep, we've looked at the pace bowlers. We've got options in the spin bowling department, both in terms of wrist spinners. Today we saw Dinesh Karthik was crying out for a wrist spinner to come in. Kuldeep Yadav got his opportunity, and we already heard from him earlier about Kuldeep beating the bat, picked up a wicket at the end, and he's certainly shown that he can be here. But Washington Sundar, again, someone, DK, you've talked up before. He showed his value with bat in hand, but obviously bowling is his primary suit. And there again, everything you described from what you saw him early in his career, he's now applying at the very highest level.
Definitely. I think one of the biggest pluses in this ODI series, apart from Siraj and Umran Malik, has to be Washington Sundar, because he's somebody who's delivered with the bat and ball. I think the 37 that he got today was worth its weight in gold, because he came in at a very interesting juncture of the game, held his calm but played some good shots towards the end, and with the ball just given the 1 over but managed to get Mahmudullah out. He's somebody who can bowl for you in the power play. He does that in T20, so for sure he can do that in ODI cricket as well. And then in the middle, he's more than handy. And the fact that against India, over a period of time, left-handers have done really well. So having Washington will obviously be a lot of help, because he gets bounce and turn. So I will definitely keep him in seriously in the scheme of things. And I do think he will make it to that squad. And the way Indian team is progressing, there are a lot of good signs. I think we are fine. Stick to them, give them opportunities, and allow them to flourish.
Yes.
And I'm sure they will deliver for you.
6 wickets and over 100 runs. Certainly you'd say that maybe at the start of the series you will like counting all the other big stars as you like, the batting stars, the impact of Umran Malik. But initially you don't think of Washington Sundar as the first name that comes to mind. Yet he quietly goes about his work.
Absolutely. And Axar Patel is your bona fide all-rounder who walked into it, and he got his chance because Axar Patel wasn't really feeling that well. But once he's got that opportunity, I think he's looked so good. And Exactly, and I mean, there are quite a few left-handers in this Bangladesh team as well, and he's bowled really well to them. I also feel he gets a little bit more bounce because he doesn't bowl that flatter, and he somehow gets that overspin and that bounce. So he's a really useful bowler. Again, I say that, when you look at Ishan Kishan, remember, perhaps Shubman Gill versus Ishan Kishan is a big question. But if you're going to play all these matches, they're going to be played, finally the World Cup will be played in India. On Indian conditions, I think maybe, Shubman Gill's technique is probably superior if you're going outside and, the ball is swinging a lot more, seaming a lot more. In these conditions, perhaps the kind of batting you're looking at, somebody like a Shubman Gill will also do well. Where somebody like Ishan Kishan and Prithvi Shaw will probably do well. Yeah.
Yep, that's another name that at some point in time will creep in. But just to finish off on the opposition, of course, let's not forget that despite us celebrating the 400 plus, Ishan Kishan's double 100, Virat Kohli's 72nd international century, and the fact that India had a convincing 227-run victory, it's Bangladesh who take the series 2-1, a couple of narrow victories in their first two games. And even though he failed today, we'd still give player of the series to Mehdi Hasan Miraj.
Yeah, he's changed two matches for you. I mean, whatever has happened after that, I know, if you look at the number of runs somebody has scored, somebody like Ishan has scored, but look at that. That 38 is worth its weight in gold, not because of 38, it's because of circumstances which he scored it. His second century was fantastic. And he's got wickets for you also, crucial wickets. He's bowled at crucial stages. He's won two matches. At the end of the day, the point is, this win was so overwhelming that it seems to blank out everything before that, which is exactly what India wanted to do. And they managed to do it very successfully. But the fact of the matter is, he did well to win it for them. And I think he deserves people who finish games. He finished two games, and that's important for them.
Yeah, that's a phrase that we've often associated with the gentleman sitting outside. DK, do you see Mehdi Hasan in a sense, because Mahmudullah, often even as a specialist batsman in limited overs cricket, would bat at number 7, sometimes 6, and he'd be there to finish off an innings, be it a run chase or, of course, completing, setting a total. Mehdi Hasan Miraj, could he fit that role long term?
100%. I think, when I look at a cricketer, I look for certain X-factor qualities, like they need to have a dog fight about them. They're up for a fight. And I feel that Mehdi Hasan Miraj has that from Bangladesh. He is always up for a challenge. I think unanimous choice for the man of the series would be him single-handedly winning both the matches, interestingly, with the bat more so than the ball. Also bowling some critical overs and I think he's given a lot of trouble to Shikhar Dhawan personally this series. He's bowled really well. And what I've liked is the way he's improved as a cricketer over a period of time. They've given him opportunities up the order, down the order, but he's made it count. And he's somebody who's going to be a very critical part of that World Cup, along with Shakib Al Hasan. He's the all-rounder that they'll be looking at. And just finishing off, I think I had some internet issues, but speaking about Washington, I think, the way he's come about this series, not only as a bowler, but also the batter, making most use of the last match. I think the couple of matches that he played before obviously didn't do that well, but this game with the bat, critical knock, and it looks like Team India has always had an issue in the recent past against left-handers. And he is somebody who can solve that problem with his off-spin because he turns the ball, he's tall, and he has the ability to get their wicket. More often than not, he gets a left-hander into a lot of trouble. Now, when you look at how the team is progressing, I think there are a lot of ominous positive signs. I think they can earmark a lot of these cricketers who have done well. All they need to do is give them the opportunity, explain to them how Team India needs to play ODI cricket, and just give them the freedom to go out there and do it every day and make it a habit. And then I'm sure the results will follow.
Yeah, I think, and just to finish off there, the one notable factor was, and we've talked about it at the end of the New Zealand series, was he's able to play a different kind of Knox Washington Sundar. The 50 he got was at a strike rate of under 100 because on that day that was what was required. And yet today he needed to come towards the end of the innings, and if it hadn't been for his knock, India wouldn't even have got 400.
He wouldn't have got 400. I think he managed to accelerate and managed to keep his wicket and accelerate. Everyone else tried to hit it immediately, tried 2-3 times, couldn't get it, got themselves out. He played the ball around a bit, saw his spots, picked his safe spots, hit a couple of shots, and then got himself there. And I think that's important. India doesn't finish very well. I mean, we don't have a Ravindra Jadeja out here. He's the other designated finisher out here. You don't have Hardik Pandya out here. He took that role and he said, I'm prepared to do it. And if you now have an Indian team where all those three are playing, I think you've got a pretty formidable 6, 7, 8, if you can get those three in there in those spots.
Yep, plenty of names that we're going to see coming in the future. Plenty of cricket to be played in the month of January. DK mentioned it that there's almost not going to be a day there when you're not either at a game or expecting a game to come any day, but we'll talk about that later. For now, India have to have a quick change in format, no change in venue. Chattogram is going to be, and in the middle of next week, after the loss of this one-day series, is going to be Test match number 1 on the 14th of December, and then everything shifts back to Mirpur for the second Test match, eating into Christmas, finishing on Boxing Day on the 26th of December. Looking ahead to that Test series, the personnel, first and foremost, are going to be interesting, DK, because we're still not sure about Rohit Sharma. He's expected to come back. He's seeing a specialist in India. But whether or not he's there or not, there's going to be some opportunities for players, of course, who are the Test specialists.
Absolutely. I think Cheteshwar Pujara, for a start, it's a very, very critical series for him. I think he is somebody who's obviously been around the scene for some time now. The last year probably hasn't gone well. This last Test match in England, in fact, went well for him. So that is good. Most likely, from what I see, I don't think Rohit will play the first Test, which will mean there is a new captain in KL Rahul, huge boots to fill. The South African Test match that he led obviously didn't go according to plan, so another opportunity for him. This Test series is purely going to be how Indian batters handle spin. I think there will be 3 quality spinners with a little bit of aid for spin, and how well we can play spin is what is going to determine how the Test match is going to open up for us in many ways. Yes, the fast bowlers for us and the spinners, we have variety there. But for me, the key is going to be how India is able to handle the spinners, because on low wickets, we'll need patience a lot of the times. We haven't played Test cricket for some time, so some different, unique challenges will be thrown up.
And those surfaces, we don't know what the surface will be like, but in the past, we've seen surfaces, whether they've played against India or the West Indies or Sri Lanka, teams like that. There have been occasions when between the two sides, you've probably got one quick bowler and you've got 3 spinners, 4 spinners all in there. But just to finish off on that point, if Rohit Sharma doesn't play, huge opportunity possibly for Abhimanyu Ishwaran in case he fits his way into the 11. He might be the possible replacement.
He might definitely be the possible replacement. And then you're looking at, again, another person who's done really consistently for India. Ishwaran is a very interesting prospect because he's been playing there. My only point is, if Ishwaran comes in right now, does he walk into the 11? Because I think that's also something India will think about, saying that he's coming as a replacement for Rohit. But all these batsmen who are here, Shreyas Iyer, Pujara, Kohli, Rahul, they are all going to play as well. And Rishabh Pant definitely on as his Test form, he's one of the India's Test greats already, given the kind of scoring that he's done abroad, internationally and in India. So that's what I'm saying. Ishwaran may get a chance in the 14. I mean, he may get a chance in the squad, but to make his way. I just also have to say I'm delighted to see one more person there in that fast bowling unit, and that's
Jaydev Unadkat.
I mean, it's just such a crazy story. In 1 year, I know because we were at KKR that year, plays the Under-19 World Cup, does really well, 2010 January. April 2010, gets some wickets in the IPL, does really well. December, he's played 1-2 first-class games. He's on playing at the Centurion. And then he doesn't get a wicket. It was a tremendous performance by South Africa, and he doesn't get another red ball opportunity. And he's one of the players in that list of players who've just played 1 Test match for India, but is still playing actively. 12 years later, if he gets a chance and he plays, it will be a story and a half. And I can tell you, he's been a standout performer for Saurashtra, not just in white ball cricket, but the amount of red ball cricket that Saurashtra, how well Saurashtra has done the Ranji Trophy. If you track it in the last 4-5 years, they've won a championship, they've reached 2 finals. They're a phenomenal side, and a large part of it is. And it's important for people like Jaydev Unadkat to do well. And the reason I say that even more is because it's important for people to feel rewarded for domestic performances. Otherwise, domestic performances count for nothing. If you keep playing Ranji Trophy, scoring thousands of runs and nobody even considers you, then you feel, what's the point of it? Unless I play the IPL, nobody even notices me. And I am so happy that Jaydev Unadkat has made it.
Yeah, and he's backed it up with the numbers. 1998-99, Dr. Ganesh got 62 wickets in a single Ranji season. And in 2019-20, Jaydev Unadkat broke that record with 67 wickets. So again, as Joy said, DK, we talk about the IPL being a feeder. We talk about international performances today. Ishan Kishan got a 1 chance and he scored those runs. But to actually have a bulk of wickets and have that wealth of experience and then get the opportunity, it's a great story.
An absolutely heartwarming story. I think Joy hit the nail on the head. He is probably the most deserving fast bowler from Indian domestic cricket in the last couple of years for sure. I think he plays in a state where obviously we know how a Rajkot wicket is. It's literally as flat as it can get. But to get the number of wickets that he's done, led the team so well, it is so good. I think, there has been a lot of talk about the selectors and the kind of selections made, but this one is highly justified. They could have easily gone on to a Navdeep Saini or a Mukesh Kumar, who's just done well recently for India A against the Bangladesh A, but rewarding domestic performance. Look, I think he might not play this series. To be very honest, I think there is Umesh Yadav, there is obviously Shardul. There's a good chance that he might not end up playing this series, but that's okay. I think the fact that he's rewarded, he's been given those whites to represent Team India and be part of the team matters the most. It could well be that, coming in the Australia series as well, he might not find a place in the team because of Bumrah coming back or Shami coming back. It could very well be that we probably move on. But just the fact that he's been given this opportunity, and in case he does play in the 11, I wish him all the best to do well. I think he's got the skills. He's done really well in domestic cricket, and the conditions will be a little different to Rajkot. But the one consistent part is it will definitely be in favor of batters. So he will have the experience for sure. And also Abhimanyu Ishwaran, I think he's been around the circuit for some time now, done really well, deservingly gets this opportunity. Again, might not play in the 11 because KL Rahul and Shubman Gill for sure will open. So might miss out on the opportunity, but I can promise you that he is another guy who has been constantly banging at the door, been a very good servant for Bengal in domestic cricket for the last 4-5 years now, and rightly got the opportunity. His dad has been someone who has a fantastic ground in Dehradun, and fond memories of it going there. But that kid is somebody who's worked so hard. I've practiced with him. I have seen how hard he works on the whole as a player, and he is somebody who's deservedly got this opportunity. I wish both of them the very good luck, and most importantly, credit to the selectors for giving a lot of time to these kind of performances that happen in domestic cricket, because sometimes it can go unnoticed, but it's good to see them being noticed.
Yeah, Ishwaran backed it up with 299 runs in the two test matches played against Bangladesh A for India A. But yeah, when you talk about Ishwaran, you think of that, he sort of lives for the game of cricket. And it's good to have players like that.
Not only that, as you know, there's this old saying, it takes a village to build a player. Well, it took not just a village, his father built a ground for him to play on. I mean, what much more can you ask for a support from your family? But he's the kind of consistent performances. You track him for Bengal from 2013 onwards to now. And you will see, he could have played for Uttarakhand, but he knew Bengal is a bigger state, better chance, more opportunities. He went there and he's really taken it and made it his own. I mean, it's fantastic.
Just to finish off on Unadkat though, I know DK said if he plays, but the one thing going in his favour is being a left-arm quick, and he's the only one in the squad.
Yeah. Look, he should get a chance. India may well just play two fast bowlers. And that's a distinct possibility that India plays just two fast bowlers, in which case you might just say that, Siraj Umesh might get the nod, or play Shardul as an all-rounder, which means that, three fast bowlers, because you're going to play at least three spinners in Bangladesh. Two frontline, maybe, definitely Ashwin, Jadeja will play. If Jadeja is fit, that is, or Ashwin and Axar will play if they're not.
Yeah, what we're hearing right now is even though his name is in the squad, he's not completely been cleared to play. Saurabh Kumar has been named as a possible replacement, just like Abhimanyu Ishwaran is for Rohit Sharma. But once again, several new names coming up, and I think when very different type of conversation, DK, from what we are having with ODI cricket and a build-up and keeping the field small. With Test cricket, you're okay to have opportunities for the odd person coming from outside the purview of the inner circle, in a sense.
Most definitely. I think Saurabh Kumar is again a great story. Somebody from UP, he came to Chennai, played some league cricket. And the first time I saw him, I remember playing him and getting stumped and thinking, wow, that ball did dip on me. And I thought, he has something special in him. But I obviously didn't look too much into it because I'm like, I've never even seen him in domestic cricket. He hadn't played so much. And then I see year on year, he's getting better with every year. He is arguably on a flat wicket the best left-arm spinner in India. I think he's got the ability to tip, which is a very important skill. He's a traditional left-arm spinner who relies on the ball to kind of dip on you and get that turn. I heard when he went to South Africa and, as a net bowler, and he started bowling, he beat batsmen so consistently when they were just trying to defend the ball, and they were bemused, like, how can something like this happen? On the other hand, we have Jadeja and Axar, who are very different bowlers, but he was constantly beating them with just sheer dip and bounce. And they found it very, very novel. And you can see in Bangladesh, when he's played on flat tracks, the kind of wickets he's able to purchase sheerly because of dip. And let's remember, UP is a state which obviously has a lot of fast bowlers, but every time he comes on to the bowl in the first session, he manages to get a couple of wickets, at least one wicket, which is a very special skill to have in Kanpur and Lucknow. And I genuinely feel he's a top left-arm spinner. And again, a very, very credible selection there.
15 wickets in those couple of test matches, like Ishwaran's 299 runs. Yeah, it's interesting that we're getting these insights from DK about an off spinner in Kanpur or Lucknow, or a Jaydev Unadkat in the graveyard of Rajkot.
Saurashtra, yeah. The roads, which are the highway and the track, the batting track, you can't make out the difference. But that's exactly, and I think DK said one more thing, I wonder who's selecting first, because we don't have a selection committee at now. So I think this is, literally Rohit and, Dravid calling back and
saying... This is still the previous selection committee.
Yeah, they would be.
The Test series, the ODI series.
Yeah, but it's a rump. So at this point in time, I think the decisions would be made more by the captain and coach and what they would want. Because, it's a selection committee. A new committee is going to come in after that. My big point is, and I really like this, especially for Test cricketers, how old is Saurav Kumar? He's 29 years old. How old is Ishwaran? He's, 27 years old. How old is Jaydev Unadkat? He's 31 years old. And that's really good for Indian cricket. It's not bad for Indian cricket at all. That you do the hard yards, you do it well, you play well. You can make a test debut at 30 and do really well. And if you see, there's so many top players like that. If you see Matthew Hayden started, played a couple of matches, didn't do much, really came back. Matthew Hayden's test career started in earnest when he was 30 years old. Mike Hussey, yeah. So all these guys. So I'm delighted that India is looking at those weight of runs, not looking at, like they say, the new young flashy kid who's just seen you, giving an opportunity and say, okay, these guys have really done it. Let's give them a chance. I think they've got it in them.
Yep, but on the other side, there's Bangladesh as well. We know it's not just ODI cricket when it comes to test match cricket. Yes, sometimes relying on the surfaces, but they've got a few names missing. Once again, in this format of the game, they'll be missing Tamim Iqbal a lot. Shakib Al Hasan will be the captain in Tamim's absence. But here you can see their test specialist, Mahmudul Hassan Joy, up the order. Liton Das is up there. Anamul Haq is up there as well. And of course, they've got their slew of wicket keepers. But just looking at this squad, it's the three spinners, as DK mentioned, who will really take center stage.
Yeah, they'll hope that Tuscan gives them something with the new ball. But after that, it's really Shakib, Mehdi. I mean, classic, somebody like Tajul Islam. They're just really going to depend on them. You're going to see lots of overs of spin, 50, 60, 70 overs of spin a day. And it's going to be a grinding conditions. It's a kind of conditions. And exactly, it's a kind of, it'll need a Puchara kind of patience because, they're dead accurate. They'll give you nothing away. Ball is going to be low and slow. And it's just going to be about how well you adapt to the conditions. It's a very different grind, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think the style of play changes totally, the way they'll have to look at it, the way the Indians will have to approach it. And we've got such a good record against Bangladesh, we don't want to sacrifice it at all. I mean, 11 matches, test matches we've played, they played their first test against us. Of those 11, 9 we have won, 2 are drawn. So it's again a lot of, not pressure, but on the Indian team that, this is not a team whoever we lose to in a test match.
On the flip side of the coin, DK, I know their spinners and the test for India's batsmen against them will be one test, but it'll also be a test for India's spinners to try and replicate what they do. I remember meeting Veerasamy Permaul in the West Indies, and he said in a test match where only spinners were bowling, he was like, I wish I could have more friendly conditions like this back home, and he thoroughly enjoyed bowling in Bangladesh.
Absolutely. I think I can completely understand that, a lot of the times we play on wickets which aid fast bowlers because, it's more interesting to watch in many ways, especially outside Asia. In Asia, you get a lot of conditions which obviously suit the spinners. For India, as I said, it's going to be the batters. But we also must remember, Bangladesh are a cricketing nation which has a lot of pride. The last time they came into Indian shores to play a couple of tests, they got blown away. And one of that was the pink ball test that they played in Calcutta. It literally got over under 2 days. I think they obviously couldn't handle the pace, nor the seam and the swing movement. So they will try to, if not, make a massive effort at, in many ways, throwing a spanner in the works because they know India have something to play for. A World Test Championship final is lurking around the corner. They will do everything possible to make it really hard for India. Hence, this test series becomes very, very important because there are 6 tests now for India. 2 against Bangladesh, 4 against Australia. If they win 5 of them, it gives them a great shot at the World Test Championship final. And winning 5 out of 6 tests at best times is hard. So you can imagine when the pressure is on. So there's a lot to play for. Bangladesh will definitely know this and know that, if they're playing for a draw at times, it could be very annoying for India. So it's very interesting how the test match is going to pan out, because India have to find a way to force a result. They have a better chance of beating Australia 3 out of 4 than 4 out of 4. So we know that, and they're a good team as well. So they will be doing everything they can to beat Bangladesh in this test series.
Let's finish off by quickly looking at the Indian 11, or rather the Indian squad, and try and quickly pick out an 11 out of that. Joy, between you and DK, we've got, I think, a few players select themselves. Let's for the moment assume Rohit Sharma is not playing and Abhimanyu Ishwaran doesn't make the 11. Rahul and Shubman Gill to open?
Yep, Rahul and Shubman Gill to open, and then you go straight down. You go Virat. You got Virat, Shreyas. I think my phone is going off again. I'll have to figure out how to stop this for the moment. But I think in this situation, or the kind of team that you do have, you have to give an opportunity to Rishabh Pant batting at 3 as well. And then you go straight on to, if India is going to play spinners, and given the conditions, India might just want Jadeja. If Jadeja is there, there's a good chance that Jadeja bats at 6. But if Jadeja is not there, they'd probably play the extra batsman, and then Ashwin comes in at 7, and then you have the 4 bowlers from there on.
So we've got Pujara as well, we've got Kohli, and we've got Rahul and Gill.
Rishabh definitely.
Rishabh definitely. Does Shreyas fit in?
I think Shreyas fits in if you don't have Ravindra Jadeja, because then you'll need the extra batsman as insurance. Because Ashwin is one of the test greats. He has to play. There's no way you're not going to play Ashwin. But if you're batting Ashwin at 6, he's made 5 test centuries. But perhaps you might want a little bit more batting. I don't know. They could go with
that
Ashwin
thought
at 6 as well.
DK, Shreyas, spin, good player of spin.
I'll open with KL Rahul, Shubman Gill, 3 Pujara, 4 Virat Kohli, 5 Rishabh Pant, 6 Shreyas Iyer, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 would be, if Jadeja is fit, Jadeja, or else Axar Patel, Saurabh Kumar, Kuldeep Yadav, and 2 fast bowlers in Siraj and Umesh Yadav. This would be my 11.
You wouldn't play Ashwin. Did you have Ashwin there?
Yes.
Okay, Ashwin at 6.
Ashwin, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav. That's
those
Ashwin,
3.
Akshar Patel, Kuldeep Yadav, Umesh Yadav, and Mohammad Siraj. I actually got Saurabh Kumar wrong there. I meant Ashwin. I'm sorry there. Okay. But that's the I do think Akshar and R Ashwin make a formidable batting pair at 7 and 8, and they can very well chip in. We know that Ashwin has got 5 test hundreds, so that I think going with 5 bowlers is going to be imperative for us to get 20 wickets.
Yeah.
Yep, enough bowling, enough batting to try and counter Bangladesh's spin. All in all, it's going to be a fascinating test series after the ODI series finished 2-1 in favour of the home side. What lies ahead? For the moment, what lies ahead in the next minute or so is the solution to Joy's question. Joy, the question, the answer, the winner.
Okay, I mean, I think I cheated a bit. The next 2 names of the list, Ray, you should actually read this list. And because we are, going into a test series, I had a test match question. It should be Hazare and then go Hazare, Gavaskar, 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 Dravid, Dravid, Kohli. Because this is the list of people who've scored a century in each innings in test match cricket for India. And obviously the next 2 ones are Ajinkya Rahane and Rohit Sharma. And of course, Gavaskar did it 3 times, unimaginable. Rahul Dravid did it twice. All amazing. These are all test greats, but 2 of them are playing for India.
Yeah, fair enough. And even though it was not mentioned multiple times, it was an exhaustive list. 2 more names added to the list. Ajinkya Rahane, Rohit Sharma. 3rd name added to the list is the winner of our quiz question. And our winner today is Rohit Sutrave. And Rohit, well done on picking that. Rohit is always a talking point when it comes to Indian cricket. So well done to that. And that brings us to the end of our ODI series. We'll, of course, have lots more cricket coming your way in 2023. Keep an eye, of course, on our chatter with when the test series comes on. First test in Chattogram, second test in Mirpur. We'll finish off on Boxing Day and then look forward to what lies in store for Team India in 2023, the year of the World Cup. For now, congratulations to Bangladesh for winning the ODI series, to India for a spirited performance in game number 3, and of course to Ishan Kishan for a magnificent double 100, the fastest ever, the youngest ever. Joy, thank you for your time. DK, thank you for your time. And to all of you for joining us once again on this India-Bangladesh series. From all of us, the entire team at Cricbuzz Live, it's goodbye.